Hey guys, it's Enkidu. This is my Spectral Throw Crit Dagger Shadow that I built. And what I'm going to do now is take you through the gear, the strengths and weaknesses, and I'll start off by saying that this is probably one of my favorite characters that I've created. I had found a just about 200 DPS dagger with a little bit of implicit crit on it in a level 70 map. And I'm like, you know what, I could build a character around that. So we use a combination of life and energy shield just because it's cheap and it's there. I'm going to take you through the passive skill tree here. So we started out as a shadow, which gives us a good amount of crit and life. So we started out with physical damage, physical, to coordination for attack speed and dexterity, up through a very nice life cluster, to elemental damage, int, and crit chance. Alright, we actually got a good amount of mana. We are not an Eldritch Battery character, because we actually wanted a bit of ES for more survivability. We went through quickness, up through crit, a little bit of spell damage, which actually doesn't help us, but the mana regen, int, and melee damage does. We got a power charge. We went over and got Adder's Touch, and all of these very, very nice crit dagger, physical crit, all that kind of stuff. Life and ES, more crit and physical, and crit multi. This is one of the highest concentrations of crit multi left in the tree, which if you're going to do crit, you may as well do crit multi. Came down, decided to do this circle right here. Got attack speed, accuracy, then on the left side, because the right side is claws. Right, so crit strike chance. We came over, we actually got a little bit of aura reduction, because we were right next to it. Another very important note is sniper there for projectile speed and projectile damage, since Spectral Throw is a projectile, right? Damage with melee one-handed weapons, right? That's going to help us as well. We come over here, we got more crit, got more life, ended with attack and movement speed. The cast speed is wasted, but attack and movement speed are very welcome. Ballistic Mastery, great node for us. And then Heart of Oak. We are not Evasion Acrobatics, although this character could be Evasion Acrobatics, and you'll just sacrifice some ES. It probably will have more survivability overall, but I chose to not go that route, since I had ended up building a kind of an armory, kind of glass cannon character sort of here. The regen's always welcome, and that's about it. For our defenses, we are capped, or just about capped. I am a little low on fire, but the rest of it's just fine. Negative 60 to chaos, I don't see a big deal with it. 33 block, which is just okay. Move speed of 28, which is just okay. Stun avoidance, always nice from the Heart of Oak. And halfway okay amount of mana regen and almost no life regeneration. So what makes this character good? Why am I excited about it? Why do I like it? It is because Spectral Throw with GMP 2000, right? 100, not that great. Not spectacular, right? Double Strike 23,000 with no auros, no charges, anything else like that. 80% chance to hit. So let's turn on Hatred and Herald of Ice. And now our DPS for Double Strike goes up to 32,000. And Spectral Throw of 3,200. So standing in town, we have a 54% chance to crit and a 590% multiplier. So no power charges, no anything else like that. And that's very nice. Anytime you're able to do a character like this and have almost 600 crit multi, you're doing very, very well. So we're running power charge on crit, and what that allows us to do is get our 4 charges. So with full power charges, we're getting just about a 70% chance to crit. With our attack speed, we're going to be critting every second, at least, even with a bad amount of RNG on just the crits. And my double strike is significantly faster. So let me take you through the gear real quick and sort of show you what I got here. So I got just about a 200 DPS dagger. We have a halfway decent Saintly. It has no life on it, but the armor and ES are pretty decent, and a 5-link. We have a Legacy Malagros because this is a standard character that I respect. We have a Strength, Life, Movement, Speed, Res. We have just a halfway decent hat. I didn't even bother qualitying up. I didn't really feel like it. And decent crit ring, mana, life, life gain on hit, mana gained on kill, life gained on kill. And then we have crit, mana leech, along with the 2% mana leech that we have from the tree to couple with the 2% life leech that we have implicitly on the character. That gives me all the mana leech I need to be able to kill bosses and run around and spam my skills all I want to. And then halfway decent, again, I mean, no life, you can get a lot better than this, no base crit, but crit multi is pretty good, ES, all LAs, and I had a bit of strength on it. And last but not least, my pretty darn decent shield, which is just for me, just a pure shield, pure resistance shield, with a whole lot of elemental resistances on it. It's 39 all res on it. It's a legacy base. I want to say that dropped out of a Monkey Island map for me well over a year ago, but I honestly don't recall. So in our 5-link, we're running a Spectral Throw, increased crit damage, GMP, Peacock or Power Charge on crit, PCOC, and Life Leech. Life Leech is very, very important because, I mean, you'll see when I start doing a map here, but a couple of hits and all my ES is gone, and being able to keep up that life pool is very, very important. This is where we stick Hatred, Reduced Mana, Herald of Ice. We have Increased Duration, Vol, Molten Shell, Faster Casting, Chance to Ignite. Right? That's an odd combination, but with 18% physical reduction, and we're not running Grace, almost no evasion, not much block, I didn't want to go in there and use double strike on a really heavy hitting melee boss and all that kind of stuff, and it was just driving me crazy. So what I do is I just pop this thing, and that gives me a good chunk of armor, and which means with faster casting I can get it up quicker, increased duration, it lasts longer, and Chance to Ignite was just an added flavor. I corrupted these and got the critical weakness skill, and that was a nice corruption from Melagros. And Chance to Ignite, just because if I can ignite a guy and keep his ES from regenerating, all the better. We have a cast on stunned, so when I do get stunned, I would like to help myself out. So I got Temp Chains, Arctic Breath, and Devouring Totem. That Devouring Totem, when it goes down, I really notice it, because when I'm getting stunned by a group of rows or something like that, it's very, very good for me to get a lot of life and mana back. And with cast on stunned, I mean, you could level that thing up forever. 232 life and 50 mana for each corpse, and it'll cast in 1 second. That's a lot of life and mana coming back to you. And then we have, just for movement, Whirling Blades, faster attacks. I was messing around with the reduced duration just because I already had the color, because I wanted to see if I can get my Whirling Blades faster, but it turns out that the only way you can really get Whirling Blades faster is just to get a dagger with more attack speed, or more attack speed in the tree. So there's some attack speed, all that type of stuff, right? So let me take you through the flasks real quick. We have the recharges on crit, which is very nice since I'm critting so often. That flask basically recharges even when I'm killing or not killing. Removes bleed, increased recovery speed, very nice. Halfway decent granite. A sanctified mana flask, because when I do a half regen, no regen map, I like to have a bit of extra mana with me to be able to hit. Because if I can't kill, I'm not going to sit there and wait for my 18 regen. It's just too painful. And the Natziri flask, which is nice for 2 reasons, because you get a boost in damage, you get a bit more leech, and that chaos damage does not reflect back for you. So if I come across a dual reflect mob, like physical and elemental together, since this character is a hybrid and the damage that it deals, I pop this thing and I'm able to leech through anything. I've crit into a mob of 30-40 guys, and as long as I'm hitting that flask and I have this gem, then I'm a-okay. The quality on Life Leech, it just increases the Life Leech rate back, which when you do have a 600% multiplier, you definitely notice that it does help you out. So I'm going to go ahead and hop on a map here and just show you guys how this thing works. It's just a white level 70. This character is 75 overall. So we're just about in his zone, and I can show you what this guy can do here. So you can see that the GMP is for real. It really allows you just to coat the screen. When somebody gets close, go ahead and chop them down. You don't always need to sit there and spam. You can move around. Because of the amount of crit that you have, you actually get a good amount of freezes, which keeps you pretty safe, considering this character really doesn't have too much armor, it doesn't have too much evasion, doesn't have too much of anything. And you keep in mind as you're going forward here, you can always do this, kite, wait for him to freeze, then stop, then just go crazy. So right there, 2 choke points, and crit freeze everybody. Now, this isn't the most amount of damage that I've seen with Spectral Throw. I mean, guys have killed that Zeri in 5 minutes and that type of stuff. Spectral Throw can do some crazy things, right? But this is just my little updated version of what I'm going to call a budget Spectral Throw. There's a couple of nice items I have, but everybody's version of budget. So here's a Fizz Reflect. I just want to get all these guys together and hit them a bunch so I can show you guys. Alright. All his buddies ran away. Alright, how about this? So you can see I am taking some damage there, just from the Fizz Reflect. I did not use my flask. But you can see the amount of crit keeps me pretty darn safe. Safe enough so that my ES regens. And considering the I have no ES cooldown recovery or anything like that, it's pretty good. So for a character without much defense, that's actually the defense is the offense. Because I have a lot of damage and I have a lot of control. So I could actually kill bosses while they're frozen. Positioning is important. I chose GMP over LMP, even though it may increase the amount of damage that I do. I just like having a wide cone. And I'm actually not that upset that I don't have a 6-link and I don't have faster projectiles or something like that in there. It really doesn't bug me because I could sort of throw one and run into, so I could be over here and I could run into my Spectral Throw and I'm safe when I'm in that cone because there's so many Spectral Throw knives out there that whatever's coming for me is just going to get frozen anyway. So I haven't really gotten stunned yet, but I want to show you guys what it looks like. I want these guys to stun me a bit here. Let me grant it up. Well, I guess they don't want to. So, I mean, I could play poorly. I could play really poorly. And just run around in the middle of all these guys. There it goes. Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's all about that Devouring Totem. With my halfway decent move speed, my little bit of block, and then with all the crit, these guys really aren't that much of a problem. And it's really all about that multi. Alright, this guy is resists elemental and deals extra hits. That's no fun. So, granite, life, sit here, chop away for a bit. My double strike is absolutely insane. So, when I'm at full charges, double strike is right around 40,000, which is very, very good for melee. And sure, I don't have much life, sure, I don't have much regen, and I don't even have life leech except for the 2% in the tree, but 2% of 40,000 is a good chunk of change. It's gonna, if not cap me, then just about cap me on how much I could actually leech back with my pretty small life pool. So, I mean, I'm just playing like this as an example. I mean, ideally, you'd want to play like this. Just wait for a freeze, then choose a direction. And you could play quite safely. So this is why I run the Molten Shell. So my defense is 18%. When I need it, puts my defense up to 24. And these guys take a lot of damage here when they decide to hit me. As you can see, I mean, that's pretty powerful. It was killing some blues in a level 70 map, right? Vol Molten Shell is nothing to be scoffed at. Every once in a while you get a tough guy, just doesn't want to die. Just wait for him to freeze and run in there and dual strike him to death. Another reason I like GMP, because right there I got cornered and I was just able to kind of cover both both angles at the same time. So this character is very, very fun just because of the amount of DPS you have, and the amount of control that you have, right? Being able to just walk up and just freeze a whole mob as they're running at you, and then they die. You know, to give you that extra second or two. Oh, look at this, a Haku mission. Alright, Haku, let's go do this. I wonder if they fixed it so that Whirling Blades used to knock the Karui Spirit right off your back, but I don't know if that's still the way. Oftentimes I'll just throw one, get a crit in there, and then reposition. Or use a lot of Whirling Blades. You can avoid a lot of damage. This character, with how quick it is, alright, so here's a good example. Here's Reflect Viz. Pops in that Zeri Flask, it takes significantly less damage. Because I'm leeching more back, right, via the Chaos. And the Chaos doesn't add to the amount that you reflect, since Chaos is not an element, right? It's not physical or an element. Ooh, look at Chaos Order. So I can spray left and right, crit shatter most things, and when things are crit shattered, summoners cannot bring them back. It's a nice little added ancillary bonus. So sure, they were skeletons, but right there I took 0 damage. Right, this is a 71 area. It's not a small amount. The amount of range that you have is pretty good. All right, let's get in there. Boca. So no flasks, no nothing. Yeah, it does. So here's a little lesson, guys. Do not Whirling Blades when you got the little spirit on your back. He will fall right off every time. If you have just over 25% movement speed, you could just about stay ahead of all these guys. Unless you did a bad job clearing on your way in. And then these missions are easy peasy.
Another of QT.
A nice little side benefit of having so much crit, even just with Whirling Blades and faster attacks. Every other one is still gonna crit shatter a mob. So every once in a while when I'm trying to get away, I'm like, oh, I insta-killed and shattered them. Awesome. I mean, Whirling Blades is like almost no damage. It's just a joke. So I had heard a long-time streamer say, if you want ridiculous damage, you go crit and you go crit multi. And that's all you do. And even as guys who play D3 will tell you, the only way to scale your damage past a certain point is just to do crit and crit multi. Is it sad? No, it's just the way these games are made. I don't know whether it's like an action RPG thing or it's just to be able to get 40,000 damage, to be able to just walk through mobs. And when you have so much damage, you're actually taking less damage because the mobs aren't alive for that long and they're not going to hit you that much if your character's quick. Alright, so I mean, this guy does a chunk, right? He could hurt me, even though, you know, I got halfway decent res, so on a life at Zeri, just go crazy on him. And that's about that. It was just like this that I had found my dagger. Nope, that dagger's awful. Alright. So, this is the character. This is about what we got here. We use Herald of Ice and Hatred for a jump in DPS and for the implicit control that crit freeze gives you. We have crit rings, we have a 5-link, and I mean 32k DPS on a 4-link is just beautiful. It's just beautiful. I've done so many characters that were Resolute Technique, right? I never got anywhere close to 32,000 damage, but with crit, all things are possible, right? I had trouble balancing. I could have gotten a lot more life if I decided to go less crit and went up here to the Scion Life Wheel, but I decided to make this character a little glass cannon-y, a little fun to play, and I hope you guys like it. This is my second video. My first one was an update of the Righteous Fire Marauder, and this is, if I can find my character screen, Atticus the Green Man, based off a book series I enjoy. So I hope you guys liked it. This is what I'm going to call a semi-budget crit spectral throw dagger shadow with double strike. And different ways that you can go with this character are, like I said before, pure evasion, right? Or you can go, if you really wanted to, iron reflexes, though to me that's pretty far out of the way. Some big notables that I haven't gotten to that I would get to if I got to level 80 or 85 are probably these notes right here. This is a nice node right here, physical damage, evasion, life. You could go over here. I don't see the benefit in it, honestly. Something else I was thinking about is just coming down and getting all of this block. I think that would be very nice. That would allow me to block more physical and elemental reflect on top of just having more block. And this is the character. I wasn't even cursing in that map. You could see the amount of power that you really get from crit spectral throw. And the only thing you're going to have to watch out for is the elemental reflect. Elemental and physical on the same mob. Can be touchy. The Atziri Flask is a chaos on PoE XYZ. It's not expensive at all, and that helps you chug through a good amount. Also, just being able to recognize that, hey, they're physical and elemental reflect. I'm only going to spectral throw 2 or 3 times instead of 6 times, right? Life Leech, quality Life Leech, that helps as well. And with that, it gives you a pretty good amount of survivability, right? Because you're always, I mean, you could go more damage on Spectral Throw, but I preferred to have more Life Leech and quicker Life Leech for those Reflect Black specifically. If I had a 6-link, what would I put in there? That's a good question. If I had a 6-link, I would probably go faster projectiles, physical projectile attack damage. Perhaps added lightning would be a good 6th link because it would give you shock chance on top of all your freeze. Perhaps added cold will give you an additional chance to freeze, right? And either way, I don't think a 6th link is even really necessary. I mean, you get a couple thousand damage on your spectral throw, you get a huge chunk for just a 4-link double strike, right? That's all it is. Faster attacks, multi, melee fizz, double strike. And it gives you a good amount. If and when I do get in trouble, I have Cast on Stun. Arctic Breath slows them down. Devouring Totem restores a lot of life. Temp Chain slows them down even more. And Cast on Stun, of course. This for when I see a big physical boss. I just pop that real quick. As well as it just gives me some mob control. I mean, this isn't even something you could do. What might be better? Vol Summon Skeletons. Vol Grace. Just up your dodge chance. Stuff like that. That would all be probably preferable, but this is what I had in my stash, and these are the colors that I had, so that's what I threw together. And that's the character. I keep it Detonate Dead on a weapon swap, and that's about as complicated as it gets for me. I mean, the character is relatively simple. It'd be fun to play in parties. I mean, your Spectral Throw might not be killing everything, but you'd be freezing everything for your party. If you really wanted to be a bro, you can come down and get Conduit and share all your power charges with everybody. People always like seeing those. And that's it. I mean, I think it's a very easy to play, fun to play character. It's probably one of my favorites to do, and it was honestly the first character that I had done that was a crit character that I really, really enjoyed. So I hope you guys enjoy it. My name was Enkidu. This was my second YouTube video. Please feel free to let me know what you guys would like to see different, if anything. Feel free to leave feedback. I'll look at the comments and everything else like that. And I'll catch y'all later. See ya. So I think now it's time for me to tell you what I learned while playing this character. What I learned while playing this character is you don't always need a whole lot of armor. A good amount of damage can just be straight up avoided. I mean, so here's a whole lot of blue titty shooters, and they really, really want my ass. On top of guys that slow down me when I'm running because of all the Arctic armor. So I'm just casually jogging around. I mean, no worries, right? So being able to recognize the mobs, waiting for a freeze. There it is. And I could either whittle him down, if I really want to, I could just sit here and grind it up. Just throw until I'm done. That's not the most intelligent way to play, because sooner or later you're not going to crit. It's going to hurt really bad. It's a little tough in doorways like this, right? Because I don't want to quite run in there yet. I get to show you a strong box here. This will be fun. Alright. No look strong box. There you go. Pretty easy, right?